Breaking news right here. Police telling us a gun shop employee here shot and killed a robbery suspect on the southwest side.
At Carter's Country, police tell us a man walked up to the register which had a key in it and started taking cash.
We're not going to show you a trail of blood that spans at least a few hundred feet here in this parking lot, but I can tell you that there was a lot of action that unfolded here around 3 o'clock in the middle of broad daylight.
Terry Evans' parents were watching the news that day last June, and they knew their son liked to hang out at the Suit Mart on Willcrest. A Houston police friend confirmed their worst fear.
And I said, did the guy have any identification or anything? He said,
Terry was a loving person.
Terry Evans was a father of 3 young boys. Joseph is 7, Michael is 9, and Terry Evans, the third, is 10.
Today at lunch, my brother Michael, I saw him crying.
He loved his family very much, loved his boys. He got along with everybody, talked to everybody. He could talk to anyone as if he knew him all his life.
Terry had a mental health condition. He was bipolar, and he was known on the street for spreading the word of the Bible.
He loved the Lord. He would tell everybody about the Lord.
But on this day, Evans tried to take a pair of pants from Suit Mart without paying for it. He was escorted out of the store without any incident.
We went next door to the gun store, went behind the counter, started rifling through the cash register.
Police tell us the man was holding a bladed object which appeared to be a paint scraper.
Witnesses tell us that the man who was killed appeared to be armed with a small object that looked like a paint scraper.
The employee was in fear for their safety and fired at least one shot.
and I heard the officer in charge, he was saying that the guy was fearing for his life. I'm like, this don't sound right,
That's because it wasn't right.
Now that the people at the store have actually been deposed or that we've talked to them, it's the exact opposite.
Now we can prove what really happened to Terry Evans that day. Watch with us. The surveillance camera inside Carter's Country shows Terry walking calmly into the store. And you can clearly see the only thing in his hand is a styrofoam cup. He walks 5 feet to the unattended cash register, turns the key left in the register, and appears to pull something out. He then turns to leave. But then you can see a female employee running in from the right side of the screen. Then a male employee runs in from the left with his gun already drawn.
The shooter comes, and if you watch the video, Terry Evans cowers with no weapons, no nothing. He cowers because he sees that the guy's running towards him with the gun, and he tries to go out the door, and then pow, 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 pow. He gets shot. This man just literally comes out of the back, Wild West, firing.
Evans is chased out of the store with that Carter's Country employee still shooting. He collapses, bare-chested, on the blistering pavement of the parking lot.
The shooter who runs out of the store, still trying to shoot Mr. Evans, goes all the way out, like as if he was going to go shoot him again while he was laying on the ground. And one of his co-workers from Carter Country comes out and says, "Get in here, you're going to get in trouble. You can't shoot him out here." For whatever reason, so he wanted him to come back in the store.
The autopsy shows Evans was shot twice in the back with a .357 Magnum. No one from Carter's Country ever called 911 or came out to help him.
There's a 33-minute time period from the time that he's shot and laying on the hot concrete until he actually gets to the hospital. At 4:05 p.m., he goes into the operating room to have exploratory surgery. They went and opened up his stomach to see if there's anything they could do about the bleeding. At 4:23 p.m., he went into cardiac arrest, and at 4:37 p.m., he was pronounced dead.
Through a subpoena, we obtained this cell phone video from an eyewitness who worked at the Suit Mart store.
Can you tell me one thing that you saw Mr. Evans do that would justify the use of deadly force at all?
I'm an advised of the council. I'm inserting my right to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution.
This is Mark Winger, the killer, who is, we find out, nearly deaf.
Just working with him, how close do you have to be to him before he can hear what you're saying or be able to read your lips, approximately?
Approximately a few feet.
Winger may not be able to hear, but he can see just fine. And this story that Evans was a threat when he was shot is pure nonsense. This wasn't a case of self-defense. This looks like murder.
Can you tell me one thing that you saw that Mr. Evans did that would have put anyone's life in immediate serious danger?
I'm on the advice of the council. I am inserted my right to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution.
At one point, Winger even had his own co-worker in the line of fire.
Would you please introduce yourself for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
I'm Mindy Stevens.
Do you still currently work for Carter's Country?
Yes.
8 months after the shooting, Mindy Stevens is still haunted by what she saw.
I did not talk about it.
Why not?
I didn't want to.
Is it just because it was such a bad thing? It's just not something you wanted to relive or talk about?
No, I don't want to relive it.
Mindy was one of 4 Carter's Country employees who have now been forced to tell the truth under oath.
They said, number 1, we were not in fear of our life. Number 2, we never saw a knife, a paint scraper, anything that would have put us in fear of being killed or in grave danger of being severely injured. In fact, it was the exact opposite. This man was trying to leave. At some point, you came out of your office, right?
Yes.
To confront a gentleman that was at the cash register.
Yes.
You were walking towards him, he did not walk towards you, correct?
Correct.
When he saw you or became aware of your presence, he walked away from you, correct?
Yes.
And he walked towards the door, correct?
Yes.
And you continued to walk towards him, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Winger ran out of somewhere, you don't know where, but he was running towards you and or the front door or Mr. Evans, correct?
Yes, but I only know that from the video.
Carter's Country claims its security cameras don't have audio, but the employees and manager admit they didn't even call 911 as Terry lay outside dying. They didn't even check on his condition.
Everything's kind of a blur.
The video's not blurry.
No, it's not.
And you would agree that the video fairly and accurately represents what happened that day, correct?
I believe.
If Carter's Country employees had simply adhered to their own policies that day, these children, they'd still have a dad. First, the front of the store was supposed to be attended by an employee.
There was nobody up front to deter somebody from coming in and walking right behind that section of the counter there, right?
No.
Second, the key was not supposed to be left in the register.
You also understand that the keys were left in the cash register that day to where anybody could open it?
Yes.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Wasn't supposed to be that way, right?
And third, employees knew they were not supposed to confront a possible shoplifter. That's the job of police.
What's the policy at Carter's with respect to shoplifters?
Well, we don't always know that they're shoplifting. Obviously, they just tuck it in somewhere and steal it. But if they grabbed something and ran, we would just let them go.
Not supposed to shoot shoplifters in the back, are you?
Objectionable.
Correct. I know this is common sense, but you agree with that, right? You're just supposed to let them go. That's the safest thing
We
to
should
do.
let them go.
I assume your answer is going to be exactly the same. But if someone reaches around an open thing and grabs, you know, a couple boxes of ammo or whatever it is from a cabinet that's typically locked, still not a reason to shoot somebody. It's just a reason to call the police, let them investigate, and try to go get the boxes of ammo back. Correct?
Objection. You can answer.
Yes.
You can call it whatever you want, but it was clear and to you and others up there that they're not supposed to engage. That's right? Yes?
Yes.
And those unwritten policies were violated that day by certain people, correct?
Objection.
Correct?
Yes.
And at that time, you didn't even know what, if anything, Mr. Evans, the gentleman that got shot, had that may or may not have belonged to Carter's Country. You had no idea at that point.
No.
It was suggested at the scene that Evans had tried to leave with $102. No money was ever found on his body or in the parking lot.
Just so it's clear, as the manager of this store, you never confirmed that either personally or with the police or anybody else that Mr. Evans actually had any cash whatsoever, correct? Correct?
No, correct.
You never saw a knife, a paint scraper, or any other weapon on Mr. Evans that day, correct?
Objection for him.
No.
Even though you didn't know what he had, you could have had a lollipop. You literally at the time had no idea, and you still shot the person. If you could go back, you would do things differently. You would not have shot this man, correct?
I've been advised of the council that I'm asserting my right to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution.
You have to know if you own a .357, which is a caliber of gun, and you shoot somebody in the back where their heart's located and their lungs are located at point blank range, basically, that they're going to die.
Gibson believes the very first shot pierced Evans' back, went through the glass door, then traveled dangerously into the parking lot. The second shot went through Evans after he had already exited the store. Police haven't interviewed any of the store employees since we got our hands on this surveillance video. But Winger, he's taking the Fifth Amendment because he's worried. And he should be, especially if the DA's office has already seen that damning video. You'll be shocked to know he still works at the store.
At any point after that, did you express any concerns you had with Carter's Country, corporate, with concerns about preventing this type of thing from happening in the future, or people getting shot, or anything of that nature?
I had a conversation with Justin Carter about the security around the cash register area.
And your concern there was what? Probably one, it was so close to the door, and there was an area right here, as you can see on Exhibit 1, where somebody could just walk right in between there, right?
That was my main concern.
Easy access from the front door to the cash register has now been blocked by a bookcase.
You understand that could have been done prior to the shooting, correct?
Yes.
And it would have been an easy way just to have prevented it altogether, correct?
Yes.
There's no reason for somebody to have been shot, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Terry Evans should still be alive.
He told us why he was crying. He said he missed his dad.
Terry's 3 siblings miss their brother too, and they're angry at the lack of justice.
They want to form a protest and all that. You know, I have to calm them down and work against all of that, because they love their brother, but at the same time, you know, it was a Christian household. I don't want all the craziness on the news and different things like that.
Terry's parents are focusing on what they should be as grandparents, helping raise their 3 grandsons. They have them every weekend, take them to church while their mom works.
I just keep thinking that this person, the shooter, he has taken someone's son, someone's father, someone's brother, someone's uncle away.
We all know that Terry Evans shouldn't have been in the Carter's Country cash register that day, but he made no movement toward any employee, anybody. His mom says Terry was never a threat. Knowing her son, he couldn't be.
This was a person, this was a human being that loved life. He loved people. So how can you shoot someone and just take their life like he was nothing?
Mom and Dad know this video needs to be plastered on TV screens across Houston, but they haven't been able to bear to watch it themselves, at least not yet.
No, I can't. Last time I saw my son, he gave me a kiss on the jaw. There's no way I could watch him.
Their patience is wearing thin. The loss of a son is agonizing. Terry Sr. went to the scene of the crime after he had gotten the news. his son was dead.
I went up there that night and I saw his blood on the ground. I just laid on the ground. Just laid, I couldn't get up. They had to pick me up, put me in the car because I couldn't see the blood of my son in the street. I just find me a place. I cry almost every day. I just can't. It's hard to believe that he's gone.